Senseis, Rodrigo Salazar, Elisa Tunda. Very, very happy for you to join us today. We have James Montague. He wrote a very, very compelling article about the Kosovo national team and the. Well, you go ahead, Ellis. You're ready to go with this because this has so much to do with you. So I'll let you run this today.
Yeah, you wrote a great article, The Dawn of the Football Nation of Kosovo, about the newly recognized Kosovo national team and their first game in Turku, Finland, and how that all came about. He's got such a great knowledge of both Kosovo, Albanian, Serbia, Croatia, the whole Balkan teams in general. Mm-hmm. He's placed in Belgrade. I believe he was also at the game at the very controversial game in Belgrade between Serbia and. I'm gearing up for this. I think we're gonna get some great inside knowledge of this person who has been following the Balkans for quite a while.
Definitely.
And has been following the progress the Kosovo national team has been making in the past 5 years, as he's met both Fadil Vokre, which is the president of the Football Federation of Kosovo, has met Salihu, which is the secretary, and has met most of the players, Rashica, Uitani, all of these players over the years.
Yeah, trying to connect with
them
on a
personal level. So we're gonna get some great insight from a person that's really close.
An insider,
as we would
definitely
say.
Yeah.
So worth watching.
Yeah.
If you have any,
if you watch The Insider, it's all about the insider. Well, this guy is an insider. He could tell you everything about what's going on. Okay, you're trying to connect with him.
Still connecting?
You're trying to connect with him. We just had him on a second ago before we went on. While we connect with him, let's talk a little bit about today's game. I mean, today is a pretty much monumental game if you're a Manchester United fan, because wow, what happened with Chelsea? They got killed 4-0 by. I'm sorry, Manchester United got killed by Chelsea 4-0. It was amazing. Hey James.
How you doing? Right, so I've got my baby next door, so I've had to kind of come to another room.
No problem. So I'm gonna flip it over so people can see you on the internets. Boom. All right, that is James Montague, as I introduced him. James, tell us a little bit about yourself. I was talking about the article that you wrote, which was amazing, and your background. You're such an insider with the whole Kosovo national team, the Albanian national team. But tell us a bit about yourself before we start.
Well, I mean, I'm a football journalist, but a soccer journalist. I mean, I'm not really. I never really saw myself as a soccer journalist. Really, I kind of have been writing about football and kind of how it reflects society and politics. Really, since for the past 10 years. So, starting off in the Middle East, and then kind of expanding as I've kind of travelled around, and air travel has got a lot cheaper. So, I've been trying to use football as a way to explain, the world in a way. And, anyone who's read anything by Simon Cooper or Jonathan Wilson or kind of authors like that, and Franklin Foer as well, the guy who wrote, the famous soccer book, How Soccer Explains the World, will know that this is a kind of, in the past few years, a kind of a path that was quite fruitful. So I'm now in Belgrade. I spent a lot of time in Kosovo, covering, the kind of battle that really has been going on to try for recognition, not just as a national soccer team, but also as a state. Actually met my current partner on a football pitch in Obilic, which is the most polluted part of Europe, which is where the first ever training session for the national team took place when they weren't accepted into FIFA at that point, but they were allowed to play FIFA games against FIFA nations. It was in 2014, and we now have a kind of 1-year-old child. So Kosovo has played a kind of quite important role in my life in recent years, as has Serbia, because I live in Belgrade, and it's a great city, and so you kind of see both sides of the issue. But currently, I'm spending a lot of time trying to understand Kosovo through this national football team, and not just through the players from that team, but also people who aren't in the team. So there's a big Serbian community within Kosovo, and I've been spending time with them and their football teams as well. So it's trying to understand a very complex issue, and it's still complex through football.
Hey James, I'm sorry, you have a light coming on you, and we can't really see you
Yeah.
too well. Oh, perfect. There you go. Now we can see you.
Is
Yeah,
that better?
that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot better. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Now we can see you. Cool. Go ahead. Sorry.
So this is the only light in the room.
Perfect.
So, yeah, it's so trying to understand it. Yeah, it's a complex issue. Whether it's about football or not about football, but I think what if you write about sports and especially about soccer, then I think it does help people to kind of understand and maybe take interest in an issue that they might not do either normally. So I was very lucky to I'm a special correspondent for them for the next year, so to write kind of long form pieces about soccer in the world, and one of them was the first one was Kosovo, and trying to explain some of the issues that were coming up with that game and their first game against Finland, which were obviously very reflective of the wider issues of identity and belonging that many Kosovars have.
James, come a little bit to the left, to your right, so we can. There you go. Now we can see your full face. Perfect. Cool. So, Alex, go ahead. I'll let you start off with the questions because you're Albanian and it has a lot to do with you.
Yeah. We're actually both in France. James, as you know, the Albanian national team first qualified to the Euros, first time in their history, and most of the makeup comes from Kosovar Albanians.
Yes.
How do you feel of the mood? What was the mood in Serbia when Kosovo got recognized? And I also want to tap into the atmosphere if you happened to be at the game in Belgrade. Of course, the old famous drone game. What do you think? What do you think that game in the end was interrupted in a way that it did?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't at that game. I've made a habit of making sure that I'm usually at all the games that go kind of horribly wrong. And when I was writing 31-0, some kind of wags on Twitter started calling me the Black Widows. I'd turn up and either their team lost heavily or something very bad would happen at them. And for this one, I was in Australia and I missed the game, and I turned my phone on. The one game I missed, the one game that, one of the most incredible moments in modern football history, really, to have this kind of drone incident take place. And when I came back, I actually found Ismail Marina, the guy who flew the drone, and I did a New York Times story on him and his life, and he actually got arrested very shortly after we spoke, and spent months in jail afterwards. In terms of how that's viewed in Serbia, there's a lot of unhappiness about how that shook down, because for them they felt that this was an Albanian guy who could have started a riot, and it did turn into a riot, but could have very bad if it happened. This was them, or Albanians, that created this problem, and therefore there should have been some kind of leniency or understanding to that, and they felt very put out that not only were they taking the points away and it was awarded to Albania, but then they were charged an extra 3 points for some of the unrest that took place. Saying that, you can see clearly and hear clearly on the videos there's some pretty nasty anti-Albanian chanting going on. And the atmosphere from, Nick Ames, who's a Guardian journalist who was there, and I've spoken to extensively about that, it was a very horrible atmosphere within the ground. I can see for the one point, they were heavily sanctioned. It basically ended Serbia's chances of qualifying, and I think probably did, play a big role in making sure that Albania at least had a shot at going there. Without a doubt, there were some great results during that qualification campaign, but those, it basically took out one of their main rivals for that second place. And this is something that I see on both sides, and I think mainly it's partly because within the football community as well, a lot of these things kept alive a lot longer. When I've just been with a lot of fans I was in Gilan, the Gilani derby between Drita and Gilan, and you hear a lot of anti-Serbian chants. Even at the first the official home game of the Kosovo team, which was Croatia versus Kosovo. So fans were, and they're both going to get into trouble with that for FIFA. It's been reported to FIFA. So, I hear quite nationalistic and extremely racist chanting from both sides, and you realise that perhaps. Of course, it's very fresh in the memory what's happened, and this is a very long conflict that's been going on. But yeah, there's still a long way to go before seeing a kind of Kosovo game or an Albania game played in an atmosphere that isn't like how we saw, back in 2014. Obviously, hopefully without a drone.
Yeah. In terms of the makeup of the Kosovo national team.
Yeah.
What is the mood in Kosovo itself among the fans and the director's mood? Are they really upset that more players have not joined the squad? Do you blame this on FIFA itself? As you mentioned, you pointed out in your article that Granit Xhaka had claimed that he was notified at a later time that he wouldn't be able to play.
Yeah, I think those players that play, we talk about the Granit Xhakas and the Jed Shakiris, who are two of the most, if you think about the spread of the English Premier League around the world, are two of the most recognisable footballers in the world, you'd say. Playing for Arsenal, Stoke City in terms of Shaqiri, but playing for Bayern before then. These are really well-known players, and what's clear is that FIFA didn't want to deal with the issue when it came to these top-name players, because they would directly hurt a team like Switzerland and to a lesser extent teams like Albania. But these stars had to be protected as kind of Swiss assets. So the Kosovan Federation and the players, I think, were put in a very difficult position whereby they would have to declare, because FIFA declared that this would be on a case-by-case basis about whether a player would be allowed to switch nationalities or not. It basically meant that there was no rule. So you weren't, if you declared, I want to, you wouldn't know until this kind of very oblique kind of like player status committee makes a decision. You don't know how they're going to make a decision, when they're going to even make a decision. As you know, wrote in the piece, some of those players didn't even know before the Finland game, 4 hours before the game, whether they were going to play. So when you're a player like Xhaka or Shaqiri, who's had a lot of criticism within the Swiss press for even expressing their kind of second identity, a lot of people don't understand this. If you come from, in America it's a bit easier, although there are some discussions at the moment about German players and players, and coaches making those kind of comments. But, if you're an immigrant or a refugee or your parents come from another place, like mine, my mother's Polish, you instinctivly understand that you can be two things at the same time. But in Switzerland, they're still coming to terms with that, and Xhaka and Shaqiri in particular had a lot of criticism in the tabloid press about that. So they would never take that. It would be ruinous to their careers to say, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to be accepted, but I'm going to say, let's go for Kosovo. Then they aren't accepted just before the European Championships. They would never play for Switzerland again. They'd never play for anybody again. So I think they were put in an impossible position. And to their credit, I think the Kosovan Federation didn't want to put them in that position, so didn't push it. Said, look, we'll leave it to you. And so what's happened is that all these great players who could have turned Kosovo into this incredible, machine that would have qualified, I think, quite easily for the World Cup, now is relying on younger players, which I think to go. Because if you look at what's happening with the players that they're actually now attracting, Milot Rashica, for instance, who's actually played for, he's from Kosovo, he's represented Albania in a couple of games. He's been playing for Vitesse Arnhem in the Dutch league. And I think over the 3 games I've seen, he's really been a standout player. He's clearly a player at the highest level. I'm not sure a player like him would have got a look in a team when you had Shaqiri and Xhaka. So I was, as much as it's sad that those players that I think probably would have liked to have represented Kosovo haven't had the opportunity to do so, it has given this squad a chance to really build a lot of young players up. And it's an extremely young team. And as we saw with the Croatia game, they took a 6-0 kind of shellacking. But those players will grow and get better. And even if they don't qualify for this World Cup, they're looking at the next European Championships. And you think, that kind of experience where they're coming together under this kind of pressure, with this kind of political and social significance, playing in these extremely hard games against fantastic teams like Croatia, I think, probably better for the long-term health of the Kosovo national team, Kosovo football in general.
Okay, now regarding again Shaqiri and Shaka, are they not eligible to switch? Are they like bound to the Swiss national team now, or is it still up in the air? Like,
no, it's done because then FIFA released a statement the day after the Finland game, saying that anybody who's played in a competitive game post May 2016, which was the moment that they were recognised by UEFA and FIFA, if you've played a competitive game for a national team after that date, then you cannot switch.
got it.
So they've said that, but they didn't. I mean, we were asking. I mean, as a journalist, I was asking people this information, and they were like, "Yes, it's player status committee, case by case. That's all we can say." And they released this information a day afterwards, day after the Finland game. So whether they knew this all along, I mean, certainly a lot of the players I spoke to didn't know this, but that essentially meant that anybody who's played in the European Championships couldn't play.
Got it.
Or couldn't switch. So that's done, and there's Hetame, the guy in Finland, was also faced with a similar problem because he plays for the Finnish national team. He didn't play in the Kosovo game because he felt conflict of interests, and he had a chance to come and play for the Kosovo team for the second game, and he chose not to, and I can understand why. I mean, a lot of these players, you've got to understand, I mean, they're very young when they came to Kosovo, and you mentioned earlier about how they're viewed in Kosovo itself. I think it's a very complex issue because on the one hand, and this is quite a thing you see in many places that have produced a lot of refugees or economic refugees as well as kind of political war refugees, is that those players, when they move to new countries, they're incredibly grateful for the new lives that they've got, and in many cases they will not know any other life. They would have either been born in Norway or Sweden, they would have been very young when they left. I mean, even the oldest members of the squad, like Sami Ulkani, the goalkeeper and captain, he was 5 years old when he left. He has very few memories of Kosovo. In the home, of course, they speak Albanian and they have a Kosovan kind of cultural life. But, what they know on the streets, going to school, the kind of life that they had, they're incredibly grateful for that. So there's a pull towards both sides. And sometimes that's not necessarily understood by Kosovars back home. I mean, there's a Kosovar Twitter account that I kind of unfollowed because they started when some of the players said, "Look, I'm not going to represent Kosovo. I'm going to represent the country that I represent because they gave me everything I have in my life. I'm very proud of Kosovo." They started calling them traitors, and that's something that you kind of hear. But it's even more complex than that because when you get down to brass tacks in Kosovo, you realise that this is a very young nation, and the ethnicity of Albanian, and the language of Albanian amongst the younger generation is something that because of the failed politics of Kosovo, because of its limbo status, you see more Albanian flags in Kosovo. The new flag is very unpopular. And so they're having to build this kind of identity of what is it to be Kosovar as opposed to Albanian. What flag should we use? What national anthem? So a lot of people I spoke to, a lot of the ultras for many of the local teams I went and saw, they want to see a united Albanian side. So there's a slight division in Kosovo between the players, the fans, and the people who have grown up there, lived through the war, and kind of live fairly, I mean, there's really high unemployment, lots of corruption. It's not a great life, These guys got out and they do have a good life. So there's that kind of dimension, and also a dimension of people who, feel that a Kosovan independent nation is what people fought and died for, and others who say actually what they fought for was a united Albania, that unites the ethnic people. And a lot of people that play for Albania, and Lauren Chana, when I interviewed him in 2012, that was his point of view. I mean, he was born in Kosovo. And when I asked him, would you switch? He said, I already play for the Albanian national team. We represent all Albanian people. So it's a really, it's a fascinating topic, and it's endlessly complicated. And that's before you even get into the issue of the 6 stars on the flag and the 6 ethnic groups within Kosovo, and the fact that there's a large, Serbian minority, it's an official language, and trying to incorporate Serbs into this team and into society is an ongoing issue that is with various degrees of success, most of it not very successful. Um, through this team, I think you can. I mean, as tough as it is, you can kind of start to pick away at what's going on in Kosovo, and it is fascinating.
Alice, go ahead.
Yeah, you were at the game against Finland in Turku.
Yeah.
Just the sight of, as you said, the 6 stars on the flag and a wordless anthem. What was that like for the fans and for the directors, especially the fans? What did they chant right after that? I guess the wordless anthem. What were some of the chants that were there?
There was. Of course. There were chants for Kosovo. There were chants for Albania. Outside the grounds, the security of the Kosovo team was on his microphone telling people in Albanian, the flag is blue. Do not bring the Albanian flag in because it had been banned from the ground. Now, if you ask a Kosovar in Albanian or a Macedonian of Albanian descent or a Montenegrin of Albanian descent, or somebody from southern Serbia who's of Albanian descent, you can't take in the Albanian flag. They'll say you're crazy. That's our flag. That's who we are. That's what we have. But so you had a situation where the Finnish authorities had banned the flag from coming in because it was seen as a political symbol. People did get Albanian flags in, and a few KLA flags as well, which of course are quite problematic as well. Bearing in mind that many people around the world see the KLA, rightly or wrongly, as a terrorist organisation. Certainly if you follow the Serbian point of view. So the songs and the flag, I think, for a younger generation of people who grew up outside of the country, for the players in particular, the flag does mean something. And a wordless anthem, I think it's a working process, but it means something. When I talk to the players and even the coach, they were emotional. They said that we had tears in our eyes, thinking about what happened to all of us in all of our lives to get here. For people who have lived in Kosovo, they don't have that attachment to the flag or the anthem. So, there was silence, of course, during the anthem, but afterwards, there were the shouts of Albania, shouts of Kosovo. So, it shows you how complex it is. But when we talk about nation building and identity building, national soccer teams play a really, really crucial role in it. Because it's a platform for your flag, for your anthem, for all these things that people say that are really, important for kind of an outward display of what it is to be a nation and to be a people. So, I think this team, that's what this is. A funny example I had was when I went with the ultras of the Kosovo national team by coach from Pristina to Skoda, and even having songs at a match for their ultras and a tifo. These were new things because there's never been a home game. There's never been a thing that they have to think about before. So you had capos from other ultra groups that were kind of pro-Kosovo national team on the bus who had written songs, teaching them, and I was sitting there listening to it, teaching them how to sing these songs and what the lyrics of these songs were, which was fascinating because rarely are you there at the birth of a national team and the birth of everything around it, not just the team, but its identity, it's the aesthetics of it, the acoustics of it, everything,
Yeah.
And so they're building this from the beginning. So it's a fascinating study in a way.
James, one of the things that me and Alice spoke about when this whole thing with Kosovo came out with the vote and everything was that the direct effects on the Albanian national team.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think that where this is going in the future is that all the way through, and you see this recently even when Edi Rama, the Prime Minister, was on stage with Vučić, his Serbian counterpart in Belgrade at a big conference here. They got into an argument about Kosovo, and Edi Rama, piped up, had an opinion, said, Kosovo has to have its own independence, blah, 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 as you'd expect. But, many kind of intellectuals within Kosovo could be angry at him because they think that Albania has kind of paternalistic attitude to Kosovo, that, that they see it as a kind of a little brother, whereas they're like, well, we fought for this is our country, certainly amongst the political class, at ground level amongst younger people and a few older people as well. They see just one flag and an Albanian people. Football, I think, is going to be the most visible schism of this. I wasn't even sure if they'd get a great reception in Skoda, to be honest. They did in the end. But because, the Albanian FA were clearly unhappy about the number of players that chose to switch. And they're losing not just, the players that chose to move, they're losing the future generation of players. Well, Kosovo has been a fantastic pipeline of talent for the Albanian national team, and they would not have qualified for the 2016 European Championships without it. And I mentioned his name earlier, Milot Rashica. This guy is the future. This guy is the future of Kosovan football and was the future of Albanian football, and they've lost him. So this petri dish of talent, which Kosovo seems to kind of disproportionately for its size seems to be producing, those players aren't going to go to Albania anymore. Some of them will, because they will still believe that there is this feeling of a greater or kind of more of an ethnic Albania rather than Kosovo, so that it will be on a player-by-player basis. And many of the players that play for Albania at the moment from Kosovo have said that we don't want to switch because we feel like we already represent the Albanian people. But this will happen more and more and more over the years, and you can really see how, if there is going to be a bit more friction between Albania and Kosovo over its independence, that some people wanting to be a united Albania, people wanting to say, hey, we can stand on our own 2 feet. I think through soccer and this national team and these two teams, I think you're probably going to see a little bit more of it. That's not to say that it's going to go anywhere particularly nasty, but you can see, certainly with the Albanian FA, they were not happy at losing those players. And when I spoke to some of the players who, Erling Schala, for instance, who brought up in Norway, represented Albania, chose to switch to Kosovo, and I asked him, how did that go down in Albania? And he said, look, it went really badly. He got a lot of abuse on social media. So it's one to watch, to see. I think it's the canary in the mine to see how relations between these two, which many people from the outside, many foreign observers see as a given, but actually it's far more complex than that.
Alice, final question. Anything?
Moving forward, James, what do you think is the future of Kosovo football? If you can speak a little bit about its infrastructure, its youth system, and most of all, the instrumental key figure of Adil Vokri. Will we have someone of Vokri's presence, let's say, do the opposite effect? As we all know, he played for Partizan Belgrade and he's beloved there. Maybe in one spectrum of one center of the city of Belgrade, but then hated on others. Will we have a figure like him on other national teams that could, in a way, could make peace between these nations that have been at war since eternity?
I mean, I think that Fadil Vokri is a fantastic talisman for Kosovan football, because, like you said, he played for Partizan. He speaks fluent Serbian. He's very keen, as most people his age do. I mean, anybody who's kind of older than 40 pretty much speaks, pretty decent Serbo-Croat, because they had to study in school. But he speaks fluent Serbian. The vice president of the Kosovan FA is Serbian. From my discussions with them, they're very, very keen to find a Kosovar Serb player to come into the team, which is proving quite difficult within the Kosovo Serb community, as it was when they had this issue with basketball a few years ago. So he's a great figurehead to have. I mean, if they played each other now, I don't think you can't lift that ban. I think it's too raw. The litmus test will be eventually the teams that from like Gračanica, from Kosovska Mitrovica in the north, from the Serbian enclaves. Eventually, those teams, local teams, will be incorporated, or there'll be moves to incorporate those teams within the league structure, and that will give you a good indication of whether that's possible. I mean, one of the Serbian players I met recently from Trebča, there's two Trebčas, and I'm writing a story about this at the moment. One plays in the Kosovar League, one that plays in the Serbian League in the 4th division of the north. It's like, imagine I'm Serbian. I'm going to go and play in Jakova. Do you think I'm going to go there? What do you think is going to happen? And I can see his point. I mean, it wasn't safe at the Gilani derby, but when the Drita and Gilani players, and this was an entire two teams of kind of Albanians playing, and so I can see his point. It's a long way down the line, but what you do have is you have people, I think, within the federation and within that have good contacts in Serbia and are very keen, although they've upset a lot of Serbs by demanding their independence and achieving it on the football pitch, you're going to have, I think, these are people who aren't kind of blind nationalists who just want to just put at all costs a kind of independent Kosovan state. They realise that they have to bring people along with that, and then part of that is also making peace with the Serbs. So I think I've been quite encouraged by what I've seen. Now, in terms of the future of football, the infrastructure is in pieces. I mean, none of these stadiums have been touched since the war. A lot of them were kind of really badly damaged from 1989 onwards, or were left in neglect. They don't have their own national stadium yet that's capable of hosting a match. Mitrovica in the north was where they played the first game, against Haiti, against a against a kind of FIFA team. But I mean, that's incredibly, I think, inflammatory having a match at the Adam Yusheri Stadium. If you know Mitrovica, it's a divided city. That's where the fault line today is between the Serbs and the Albanian Kosovo in the south. So this is a stadium named after a KLA kind of founder. And to have the match there, I think would probably set back the cause a bit in terms of kind of reconciliation a little bit. But they're rebuilding the Pristina Stadium. They're hoping they're going to have a home game that will be at home and not in Albania by the end of the qualification. I don't know whether this is probably too soon to say they're going to qualify. I mean, after the Finland game, I thought they had a great chance, but they've had a reality check, the 6-0 defeat against Croatia. They should have got a draw against Ukraine, but just fell apart in the last few minutes. The next game against Turkey, I think, will be crucial if they can. There's still a chance they can make it, but this is a really young team, and with players like Bernard Berisha, Milot Rashica. When you look at, they've got these Bethan Shalina. You've got these great kind of players that are coming through that are 19, 20, very fast, attacking midfielders. They just have to find some good defenders, because that's the tough thing at the moment. They're great going forward, but at the back, I mean, they've got, the team is quite unbalanced, and I think that if they don't make the World Cup, which is an outside bet, they can still do it. I think, which would, by the way, be hugely significant, because it's in Russia. This is the country that probably is more than Serbia is responsible for them not being recognised at the United Nations. But the European Championships in 2020, I think, will be the litmus test. And I think the talent that you see in this side, I think they've got a great future. The issue now is they need to get the money from FIFA and UEFA, build the infrastructure on the ground, which hasn't been touched in 30 years, and start incubating and building up that talent in Kosovo, so it doesn't leave for Albania, so it doesn't leave for Switzerland, and is built up there, so they can build it from home, because they're producing so many great players. It's almost unfair on the rest of the world.
Yeah. James, thank you so much for joining us, man. We could go on. We definitely will have you on again, talk a little bit more about other stuff, Champions League, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks for joining us. Before we go, where can people find you on social media, on your platforms?
On Twitter, James Piotr, JamesPiotr, and that's the best place to get me on Twitter. It's got all my stuff, New York Times stuff, CNN,
cool.
All my book stuff, so it should all be there.
And your pinned tweet is this article we spoke about, so definitely check it out.
This article, so check out the Bleacher Report, because a lot of people think Bleacher Report is it's like a kind of fan blogging site, but they're doing long form journalism and they're doing some great stuff on it.
No, this article.
Doing a lot more stuff on that.
Yeah, this article was on Bleacher Report, so definitely a shout out to them. They're doing a great job, with basketball and now football. So yeah, James, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you joining us.
Anytime.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Guys, that was great.
Yeah.
So just send me a link when I love that poster you've got in the background as well.
Oh, that's our friend Dan Layden. Yeah, I'll send you a link for that as well.
Brilliant.
All right.
Well, listen, I'm going to go see the baby, and I'll see you later.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot.
James.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that was James Montague. Definitely follow him on at James Piotr on Twitter. Definitely check out the article. It was really, really good. We read it like twice.
I'll put a link up to it on my fan page.
Yeah, and he's the other fan page.
And my personal page. So it's great. The dawn of Kosovo football.
Yeah.
It'll take at least 15 to 20 minutes to read it, as it's very informative. I think it's one of the best articles I've ever read in soccer. So
Yeah,
worth reading.
Definitely. Before we let you go, quick predictions for today's game: EPL Cup, Man United, Man City. Go.
I don't know what to say. I mean, they've both lost 4-0 within a span of four games. One to Barca, one to Chelsea. So not the best way. Both homecomings. Pep Guardiola, Barca, and then Mourinho, North London. So they didn't get the sort of cake that they expected. It was a little sour.
To be specific, Chelsea is in central London. North London is that's Arsenal. Arsenal land. Yeah, Arsenal territory. So who's gonna win? Man United or Man City?
Okay, I'm gonna say Man United. Ibra.
Ibrahimovic. Okay,
That's his time.
I think Man City's gonna figure it out. Right now, if you look at both teams, Man United is playing horribly. There's no plan. There's no cohesion. There's nothing there. You know, I can't even say anything. I mean, you get the most expensive player on the planet, looking like one of us playing in Flushing Meadow Park. Talking about Pogba. So I think it's gonna be Man City. Go by Agüero, who was benched. He benched Agüero against Barcelona. It's horrible, but whatever. That's Guardiola for you.
I expect Rooney to start, so this could be the moment that
Rooney
gets back on the starting lineup.
Meanwhile, Rooney has been told by Mourinho he can leave, and also Schneiderlin can leave as well. So
where's Schweinsteiger, by the way?
He's
lost.
He's having a big sausage sandwich in
Oktoberfest?
Oktoberfest. Yeah, he's reliving it. He will not be playing anywhere because if a player of his caliber gets there's no links, no rumors to MLS, your career's over. That's pretty much your last stand. He's like, hello, Vancouver, hello, Kansas City, and if they're not picking up, you hear about it anywhere on Twitter or Facebook. That's it. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Soccer Senseis. See you next week. Peace.